Estamos en vivo.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. From the Consulate General of Mexico in Los Angeles, it is a pleasure to welcome to you all to this interesting and informing webinar that we, along with the Embassy of Mexico in Washington, D.C., and the Ministry of Economy of Mexico, put together to be able to have the great opportunity to present the Vice Minister for Foreign Trade, Usmca de la Mora, who will talk about the Mexico-U.S. Strategic Trade Partnership and the new business opportunities that the USMCA will bring to the region, with a special focus on Los Angeles and Southern California. This webinar has an undoubted value, not only for addressing this updated treaty, but also for the unprecedented moment where all of us worldwide are facing within a pandemic. Currently, when new opportunities have arrived to grow and be part of our lives, like the social media, e-commerce, life sciences, not to mention the artificial intelligence, 5G, autonomous cars, among many others, USMCA enter into force in response to the new challenges of the 21st century. Our resilient region of North America will have, after COVID-19, the USMCA as a framework for regional economic growth by supporting supply chains, key economic sectors, protecting thousands of jobs, and providing the region with the certainty and confidence necessary for their economic recoveries. For us in the West Coast, it's a fantastic opportunity to get to know more about the USMCA. Just for you to remember, the relationship between Mexico and California is important for both. Mexico has consistently been the main export destination of California. Just in 2019, it recorded $27.81 billion with a diversified product base. Measured in jobs, California accounts for more than 585,000 just because of the trade with our country. And we see year by year more and more Mexican companies investing in California, just as we see the continuous expansion of supply chains. In this regard, we can say that we're moving from selling products from one to each other to building together. In California, we have 10 consulates. Today, 7 of us from the southern part of the state are participating in this webinar: San Diego, Santa Ana, San Bernardino, Oxnard, Fresno, Calexico, and Los Angeles. All of us are here to assist you. We are committed to provide information, advice, and guidance for trade, business, and investment opportunities. And of course, all these efforts are led by our Mexican Embassy in Washington, D.C., the Ministry of Economy, which has an office also in our embassy, and the Ministry of Foreign Relations. Now, moving forward to our webinar, I would like to introduce the Vice Minister for Foreign Trade, Usmca de la Mora, and it really is an enormous pleasure to do it. As of December 1st, 2018, she is Vice Minister for Foreign Trade in the Ministry of Economy. She has been head of the Unit of Economic Relations and International Cooperation in Mexico's Foreign Affairs, and head of the International Trade Negotiations Unit in Mexico's Ministry of Economy, as well as head of the representation of Mexico's Economy Ministry before the European Union in Brussels and before ALADI in Montevideo. She served as Economic Counselor at the Embassy of Mexico in Washington, D.C., and was part of the NAFTA negotiation. She has been NAFTA Chapter 19 panelist and consultant with the Advisory Committee of the Latin America Division of the World Bank. In the academic field, she has been a visiting researcher at the Woodrow Wilson Center in Washington, D.C., and at the Center for U.S.-Mexico Studies of the University of California at San Diego. I didn't know that, Vice Minister, we are colleagues from the same place. She has been an affiliate professor in the International Studies Division of CIDE and is the author of the book Apertura con Reciprocidad in 2012. She has been a member of the Mexican Council of International Affairs, COMEXI. She led the We Connect International Program in Mexico and the Mexico chapter of Vital Voices Global Partnership, promoting the development and internationalization of women's businesses. She holds a bachelor's degree in international relations from El Colegio de México, master's in international political economy from Carleton University in Canada, and a PhD in political science from Yale University in the United States. She has been a Fulbright Scholar, Government of Canada Award holder, and CONACYT Fellow. So, without further ado, the floor is yours, my dear Vice Minister.
Thank you so much, Marcela. Thanks for this very kind introduction. It is a real honor, a great pleasure, and a privilege to be able to be with you. Thank you for opening the doors to the Ministry of Economy to be with the Consulate of Mexico in LA that you so amazingly and remarkably lead. Thank you for this opportunity to work together and share with you and the business community in LA. I think that we should celebrate the integration that we have been able to develop in the last 26 and a half years of NAFTA. But I think that it's more important to celebrate and to be aware about the opportunities that this partnership brings to the region. So today, I want to offer you this vision from Mexico of why Mexico continues to be a key ally and a key partner. So thank you, Marcela, so much for bringing us the opportunity to be here with you today and to share my screen so I can, let me see, where is my presentation? Let me find the presentation. Okay, give me 1 second, please. I always have trouble with, okay, here it is. Okay, here it is. Okay, so just please let me know if, first of all, if you can see it, and second, if it moves.
Yes.
I've been having a little bit of trouble thinking that the presentation is moving and I am talking and the people are still seeing the first one. So now I'm going to move to the next slide. Just please let me know if it's if it moves or not. Okay, so what do I need to do here? Okay, so is that right? Now we are seeing from NAFTA to USMCA?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So now, okay. So I would like to start by putting a little bit of perspective of where we are with respect to the agreement. As you know, USMCA became effective on July 1st. And I think that there is a lot to celebrate, but I also think that it's important to bear in mind that we're not coming from zero. We're not starting from scratch. This is really an evolution from NAFTA, the North America Free Trade Agreement, which was in place for more than 26 years. And it did allow us to create a very competitive region and integrated region. So what we have today as of July 1st builds upon NAFTA, and these are the provisions that you see in the red boxes, are those that we incorporated in USMCA from NAFTA, either revised, modified, modernized, adjusted to the realities of the 21st century. And I think it also brings to the table the fact that we have been able to create an agreement that provides certainty, that offers a set of clear rules, that allows the three countries, Mexico, the US, and Canada, to preserve the productive integration that we have been able to develop for the last 26 and a half years. The provisions that you see in the green colors are those that will modernize and will deepen the kind of integration that we have, to the extent that we have integrated and incorporated new areas of public policy, such as labor policy, environmental policy, anti-corruption policy, and obviously, and very importantly, as Marcela was mentioning, the new economy, the digital economy, e-commerce, technology, that so far has helped us to maintain our economy active during these very challenging times that we're facing as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. So these 34 chapters are the ones that are now in effect, are part of USMCA. And I would like to explain to you in very general terms, but I think also very importantly, what are the areas where we see that USMCA will help the region to become stronger in terms of competitiveness, productivity, and opportunities to develop business. And Mexico is a key partner to the North American region. So provisions that we see as supporting the regional competitiveness of North America in the region and worldwide are those related to preferential access, which come from NAFTA, those regarding to technical barriers to trade, SPS sanitary and phytosanitary measures, which were already part of NAFTA and allowed trade to happen in an orderly way in North America, but also provisions regarding investment. Investment is protected and investment is basically open in North America to allow to have the most innovative production and technology throughout our region. Also, issues regarding regulatory coherence will definitely have a very positive impact to the extent that regulations will be state-of-the-art, world-class. We will focus on best practices, and also this will reduce the costs of doing business in North America. Likewise, the temporary entry of professionals will also help companies to strengthen their human resource and their labor pool in order to be able to have a strong competitive region. Now, a second point that I think it's also important to bear in mind is that USMCA goes further than what NAFTA offered in terms of integration, because we are including new policy areas that are also considered part of this integration in North America. So we are going deeper into integration, as we have included provisions regarding labor rights, regarding anti-corruption, environmental protection, and also provisions regarding participation of more medium, small size companies, recognizing that the region is supported by a network of small companies that also need to participate in the success story of the integration that we have built in North America. Likewise, provisions regarding gender also take into consideration the contribution that women make to the economy and how we can make sure that opportunities are also enjoyed by women-owned entrepreneurs and women in the labor force. Now, a third area in which we see USMCA going beyond NAFTA has to do with certainty in trade and investments. And the reason is that dispute settlement mechanisms, as contained in Chapter 10 regarding trade remedy laws, Chapter 31 regarding state-to-state disputes, and Chapter 14 regarding investor-state disputes, definitely provide the certainty that investments, producers, exporters require in the region, because these dispute settlement mechanisms are binding and they also have very clear set of rules that will have to be implemented, and this will offer companies the kind of environment, certainty in the business environment, to make sure that what we committed, the three of us in the USMCA, will be respected and will be implemented. And in case one of us decides to implement measures that countervene what we committed to, then there are mechanisms to correct an incorrect behavior. Now, the last point that I think it also summarizes very nicely what USMCA brings to North America has to do with the opportunities of the 21st century. And in this respect, I would like to underscore provisions regarding intellectual property that create an environment, a legal framework in North America that will promote the development of investments that will promote innovation. We all know that the 21st century economy is based on knowledge, is based on innovation and investment in value added. So the protection that to intellectual property in terms of patent protection, copyright, trademarks, industrial secrets, industrial designs, internet-based services, and the like will all help to create an economy that is based on knowledge, that is based on value added, and also, very importantly, it also guarantees protection, and it guarantees that any infraction will be faced with a real sanction. So I think that that also brings a very important component to the competitiveness in North America. Likewise, provisions regarding digital trade, e-commerce, financial services will all support a more open economy, a more democratized trade in the region, because it will open opportunities to more small, medium and sized companies, to more sectors, to more regions that have not participated in the benefits of North American integration, but also it will open opportunities to develop a completely new economy in North America. In addition to manufacturing and agriculture, we will be able to create another host of opportunities as a result of the development of integration in the new economy, the digital economy. So this is what USMCA brings to the three countries in these moments in which we have been able to create a successful partnership. And I need to mention the visit by President López Obrador to Washington, D.C. on July 8th, where he met with President Trump. And I think the message that we get from this meeting is that we are working together, Mexico and the US, to make sure that the success story that we built under NAFTA continues to be a success story under USMCA, and that we are ready to work. Mexico is ready to work with the US in order to be able to further develop an already competitive and dynamic region in the world that is composed by close to 500 million people, that are 500 million potential consumers. As a region, the three of us represent the second largest global economy with close to a little bit more than 18% of world GDP in 2019. As a region, we are the largest recipient in the world of FDI in 2018, with 23% of all FDI getting into North America. As a trade actor, NAFTA, or USMCA, the USMCA region today, represents close to 16% of global trade, and we're the second global exporter worldwide. And in terms of intra-regional trade, the trade that the three of us do together, we are talking about $1.2 trillion, which represents 20% of the region's trade in the world. NAFTA and USMCA allowed Mexico to become an important site for investment in the productive sector. Both the US and Canada are Mexico's first, the US and Canada the third largest investors in Mexico. And this investment has allowed us to be able to develop the manufacturing base and the manufacturing infrastructure that we're part of in North America. Mexico, the US and Canada produce together, and this investment has allowed Mexico to be part of the regional value chains and of the success story. I can tell you that today, any company that is considering investing in North America to serve the North American market always considers Mexico in its business operations, because Mexico offers the competitive advantage in the production and manufacturing sector. And we also see that under NAFTA, Mexico that was able to create trade where we had very little or none, as in the case of Canada. Before 1994, before NAFTA was implemented, Mexico's trade with the US and with Canada amounted to $91 billion. Last year, in 2019, that trade, according to Mexican sources, Mexican information, we were close to $600 billion. And of that, 25 billion accounts for our trade with Canada. I can tell you that before NAFTA, Mexico and Canada had a good diplomatic relationship. We had political relations. We had a friendly relationship, but we had not discovered each other as business partners. NAFTA created a business integration, a business relationship between Mexico and Canada that also crosses along the US economy. So really the three of us have been able to create a very important trade relationship. I hope that you're listening. Apparently there was some problems with the transmission. But well, I was telling you that Mexico has been able to create a very successful integration in North America. And that integration today is basically shown that Mexico today, well, in 2019, Mexico became the top US trading partner. According to US information, and this is information from the US Census Bureau, our trade in 2019 was close to $615 billion in goods, surpassing Canada and China. And I want to also offer you a number that compares where we are today as opposed to where we were in 1994. In 1994, Mexico's share in US total trade was close to 7.5%. So last year, Mexico was close to 15%. So that tells you where we are with respect to the kind of integration and the kind of trade partnership that Mexico and the US have been able to develop. In the agricultural sector, Mexico and the US are also key trading partners. In 2019, the US and Mexico traded over $47.5 billion. Mexico exported to the US $28 billion, and Mexico imported from the US $19 billion. And Mexico is also a key market for products such as corn, pork, soybeans, dairy products, and the like. So we have been able to create a very deep integration in agriculture that today shows a complementarity between productions in both countries. And Mexico offers the kind of production that the US consumers require today to have a healthy diet and to bring fresh products to the table of all the American families. For the US, when we see it at the state level, we see that Mexico today is a key market for US states exports. When we see this map, you can see that Mexico is the largest export market for 7 US states. Mexico is the second largest export market for 19 US states and the largest export market for 3 US states. In the specific case of California, California is key for the Mexico-US trade relation, the trade partnership. California today is California's trade with Mexico accounts for 12% of total trade flows between Mexico and the US. In 2019, Mexico-California trade supported more than 572,000 jobs. Exports to Mexico accounted for 16% of its total exports, California's exports, amounting to 27.8 billion. And imports from Mexico accounted for 11% of California's exports, reaching 46.7 billion. And as I was mentioning at the beginning, this is not only about trading goods and services or flowing or allowing the free flow of investment among our three countries. The success story that we are talking about here is that we produce together to compete globally. So when we see the sectors in which Mexico, the US, and Canada participate, we see that we're talking about an intra-trade and an intra-industry trade and an intra-firm trade, where we see exchange in the automotive sector, cars, auto parts, trucks, the electronic sectors, phones, cell phones, computers, integrated circuits, and alike, the energy sector for gas and oil, and also in terms of electric products, electric switches, machinery, and equipment. And the same happens, the same pattern that we see in the trade between Mexico and the US is seen between Mexico and California. Mexico and California also trade, the trade accounts for $74.5 billion in 2019 and supports regional supply chains specialized in the automotive sector, in the electronic sector, as well as in medical devices. We also share products in the agricultural sector, which is also a very important complementarity between our two economies. But it basically shows that trade between Mexico and the US and Mexico and California are a result of the kind of integration that NAFTA was able to create and that USMCA needs to support. And also we want to create more trade and more integration as a result of USMCA. I also want to mention that exports from California's top metropolitan areas rely on exports to Mexico. And in this table that you see here, you see California's top metropolitan areas like LA, Long Beach, Anaheim, that exports to Mexico account for $8.8 billion. In the case of Riverside, San Bernardino, Ontario, 1.5 billion, San Diego, Carlsbad, 6.3 billion, San Francisco, Oakland, Hayward, 1.7 billion, San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, 2.2 billion. So this shows the nature of the relationship and the way in which trade and the export activity from California to Mexico is having a direct impact on some top metropolitan areas in California. It's also interesting to see that this integration is two ways. Not only US investment coming to Mexico, US companies coming to Mexico, but also Mexican companies going to the US and doing business in the US. Mexican companies consider LA as a strategic business ally. These names that you see here are only a few of the many that are already operating in LA County. As of 2017, 94 Mexican companies support 3,534 jobs in the LA County area. And also LA-based companies, which a few are here presented in this slide. Companies based in LA also have business development in Mexico, and they consider Mexico as a strategic business partner. At the end of the day, that is what this USMCA is all about, is offering opportunities for companies to develop their businesses, to flourish, to grow, to create well-paid jobs, and to create a very competitive and strong North America. For that matter, last year, on October 4th, Secretary Graciela Marquez and also Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis signed an MOU that intends to increase trade flows and promote investment between California and Mexico. And we intend to strengthen cooperations in areas such as trade facilitation, the digital economy, and SMEs, all of them areas that are part today of the new USMCA. Now, why think about Mexico and why choose Mexico? Mexico has already shown that it can be a key ally, that it is a key trading partner to the US, a key export market. But why consider Mexico in your business decisions? These are some of the main considerations that we want to offer you so that you can continue to think of Mexico as a key ally now that USMCA is in place. And first of all, I want to mention that Mexico is a key actor in international trade. Today, Mexico is the 7th largest exporter in the world and the first in Latin America. We have a network of 13 free trade agreements with 50 countries when we consider USMCA. This allows Mexico to have preferential access for originating goods to more than 1.3 billion consumers, and it also offers us the possibility of accessing a market worldwide that represents 60% of world's GDP. So Mexico offers this unique platform for production and for exports under preferential conditions using this network of free trade agreements. Mexico offers also a solid infrastructure and logistics network. According to the World Economic Forum, Mexico ranks among the top 30% countries with the best transport infrastructure. Our roads amount to 172,000 kilometers, where 62.4% of Mexico's total exports move. We also have 27,000 kilometers of railway tracks that move 13% of our exports, 117 ports that move close to 20% of our exports, and 76 airports, out of which 64 are international, that move more than 4% of our exports. So this infrastructure and logistics network are defining kind of access to from Mexico to the world. We also have a strategic location and competitive logistic costs in North America. And let me just offer a couple of examples. In terms of shipping costs, shipping from Mexico to the US presents a cost of $9 per square meter compared to $140 US per square meter coming from China. When we see the measurement of maritime days to destinations in the US like New York or LA, we're talking about 5 and 4 days compared to China, which is 32 and 18 days, and other locations. And we have more than 50 ports of entry between the US and Mexico. Now, we also have a diverse and innovative industrial platform. If something transformed Mexico under NAFTA is the face of our industrial manufacturing. NAFTA reshaped the manufacturing capacities and the manufacturing infrastructure in Mexico. More than 2/3 of our exports are in high complexity sectors, and today Mexico ranks as the 19th most complex economy in the world. When you see the industry share of Mexican exports by economic complexity, you see different sectors like automobiles, machinery, electronics, agriculture, services, minerals, textiles, chemicals, metals. And this level of complexity makes sure that Mexico is an ideal partner because we are endowed with the necessary resources and factors to be able to attract new activities, new investment, new processes, and adjust and adapt to them very quickly. We can incorporate all sorts of processes and procedures very easily. Mexico leads in manufacturing production today. Mexico became the 6th largest world producer of automobiles in 2019 and became the 4th as exporter worldwide in 2018, surpassing South Korea. We're the 6th largest supplier of aircraft parts to the US. Actually, a few days ago, Safran, the French company that it dedicates its production to airspace and aircrafts, just announced a new investment in Chihuahua, and they will be partnering with Boeing to further develop aircraft production in Mexico for North America. We're the 6th largest exporter of information technology products and services, which provide one of the most important platforms for also supporting digital economy, Internet of Things, the new economy. We're also the 8th largest exporter of medical devices worldwide, and we have been supporting some of the supply that has been required to address the pandemic in terms of PPE and medical devices. We are also a competitive and cost-effective manufacturing place. As you see here, the cost for natural gas for industry in terms of the cost of the megawatts that we face with respect to other countries. Mexico is at $20 US dollars. And in terms of the global manufacturing cost, we have an index at 86 compared to other countries in 2019, other developing countries. Internet connectivity and broadband access also in Mexico supports the 4th industrial revolution, the use of Internet of Things, the digital economy. As you can see in this graph, Mexico is the 3rd largest country in terms of mobile broadband subscriptions within OECD countries after the US and Japan. We have a mobile penetration rate of 74%. This has grown by 17% annually in the last 5 years. And today we have 92 million mobile broadband subscribers throughout the country. A very important and key resource for Mexico is its young, competitive, and skilled workforce. As you can see in this graph, the economically active population in Mexico by age is the cohort of between 30 and 40 years old, is close to half of the population in working age. However, Mexico is a young country. Overall, on average, the average population in Mexico is 27 years old. So we're talking about a young population that has a huge potential to contribute to the economy of North America in the years to come. In terms of the share of graduates coming from engineering programs, Mexico has 17%. Every year, from all college graduates, 17% come from engineering programs compared to, for example, India, that shows 12%. Now, having said and having offered you some of the reasons why I consider Mexico a business ally and why Mexico has been able to support the competitiveness of North America, I'd like to just finalize this presentation by talking a little bit about where we see the opportunities and the challenges for USMCA. There are real opportunities in terms of rules of origin. Rules of origin for the automotive sector today are stricter than they were under NAFTA, without a question. The automotive sector represents around 30% of Mexico's total trade with the US and Canada. So this is a key sector for us. And now that we have a stricter regime where we have a higher value content, regional value content of 75%, a labor value content of 40%, also steel and aluminum, a regional value content of 70%, and a number of essential components, principal components, and complementary components, we do see a lot of restrictions. However, those restrictions are also an area of opportunity. These are an opportunity to bring more investments into the region, more investments into Mexico. Mexico has shown that it has the industrial infrastructure, the industrial manufacturing networks to be able to support the kind of supply chain that the auto industry will require. We're working very closely with industry. We're also working very closely with each one of the states throughout Mexico in order to make sure that we can help comply with this new rule of origin. We also see opportunities in the digital economy. As you know, there will be no taxes, import duties, or any kind of costs for companies that deal with the digital space. That is to say, there are opportunities to trade videos, movies, entertainment, software, whatever, on the digital space, and they will face no tariffs or taxes. And e-commerce is also a great opportunity to democratize trade and also to be able to include more SMEs into the success story of the North American market. To export to Mexico, and there are no duties after $117, and the VAT is will not be applied up to $50 when we talk about import. So here we also see a very important opportunity for increasing trade between Mexico and California. We also see a more inclusive trade regarding provisions in SMEs, labor, environment, anti-corruption. These are areas which are new to the North America region in terms of the legal framework. And we see the opportunity of moving further in terms of having a more inclusive and a more beneficial trading regime as a result of these provisions. We also have seen very important challenges coming from COVID-19, and we have been faced with very trying times. However, USMCA governments have worked coordinately to define protocols and conditions to allow transition towards reopening productive activities. We have focused on essential activities. We understand that there needs to be a very delicate balance, but a very precise balance with respect to protecting the health of our citizens and also protecting the health of our economies. So these are very delicate balances that we need to arrive, and it's been very encouraging the fact that on one hand we have been able to have this very effective conversation at all levels, at the state level, at the local level, at the federal level, among US and Mexican authorities to try to find the right solutions to the problem. And USMCA, the implementation of USMCA will allow us to continue to work in this integration, to coordinate border crossings, and to use information technology to be able to maintain our economies integrated and working together. USMCA also offers opportunities when we are seeing that there are reconsiderations in terms of the way in which value chains have operated recently. We see companies thinking about relocation, nearshoring, and decoupling to build more resilient global value chains. And to the extent that US-Mexico, the US, Mexico, and Canada have the USMCA in place, we are in a better position to offer companies the possibility of considering the region as one in order for companies to restructure their production and consider Mexico, the US, and Canada in their operations so as to have stronger production in the region and to reduce the vulnerabilities that globalization and fragmentation of production has shown. So USMCA, having started on July 1st, brings a whole host of opportunities. It also brings a number of challenges and responsibilities on the part of governments, the three of us, to be able to deliver what the region needs in order to recover economic activity, recover jobs, and also be able to offer benefits to the three countries, the citizens in the three countries. So I will finish here, and I will be very happy to take any questions that you may have. I appreciate the opportunity of discussing these issues with you, and I hope that you will take this as the first of many conversations that we may have. Gerardo Lameda in our office in DC has put together a very effective center for to address any specific questions that you may have, and we want to make sure that you know that we are ready to continue to work with you because we value this partnership and we want to make sure that this partnership continues to grow. Thank you, Marcela, for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Minister de la Mora, for your complete presentation. Now we can move forward for the Q&A session. We received several questions, so we may start with the first one that says, how can the USMCA help the US and Mexico face COVID-19 and the economic crisis ahead? Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you for your question. As I mentioned during my presentation, COVID-19 and its effects on the economy have posed tremendous challenges to our countries, to our communities, to the health of people. However, I think that it is precisely in the spirit of USMCA that we have been able to work together as partners and allies in these very difficult circumstances. I think that on one hand, the pandemic shows how integrated we are and how important it is to remain in contact and to be able to support regional value chains in operating smoothly. We know that some companies have faced challenges in terms of finding the right inputs coming from Mexico and vice versa, because some activities have been required to shut down as a result of this pandemic. However, we also see the opportunity of relocation of production, regionalization of trade, and reallocation of supply chains close to consumption centers. It is an opportunity for companies to build resilient but also competitive global value chains, and USMCA offers that opportunity to reshore production, nearshore production, and to find suppliers close. I think that USMCA, along with this restructuring of value chains, offers the opportunity of maintaining North America competitive vis-a-vis the rest of the world. And we hope that companies that may require to move production from third regions will consider Mexico in their production operations, because we know that we can help them to have both a resilient global value chain and a competitive value chain. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is as follows. How will the USMCA help innovation in the North American region?
Thank you. Thank you for your question. I think that innovation is key in USMCA and is key also for North America and to maintain a competitive region. There are several areas in which innovation will be supported. One of them has to do with the high standards in terms of intellectual property that USMCA developed and contains. It contains strong provisions regarding patents for innovators in the three countries, enforceable by administrative, civil, and criminal measures and remedies. Another way in which innovation will be supported in USMCA, or through USMCA, I should say, has to do with the digital trade provisions that include protections against the disclosure of source code when importing and distributing software. USMCA does not require a localization, a server data localization requirements for companies to provide their services across the region. I also think that the chapter on SMEs, even though it's a cooperation chapter, it has a very clear set of provisions that will require that the three of us, the three countries, work closely to make sure that SMEs take part of the guides, tools, toolkits that we can offer for them to be able to participate in trade through incubators, accelerators, and the like. So we know that from different perspectives, there are ways in which the digital economy, the new economy, an economy centered on knowledge and on value added will definitely be supported by what USMCA has to offer to the region. And also Mexico has, as I mentioned, a skilled labor force that can support the flourishing of that new economy. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Undersecretary de la Mora. I understand that Consul Marcela Celorio has a question. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Gerardo. Yes, Vice Minister, I would like to ask you, since we are aware that the USMCA is a state-of-the-art, an avant-garde treaty, and in that regards, we have included the gender perspective. Would you be so kind to enlighten us on how this gender perspective should be implemented and the advantages of it? Thank you.
Thank you, Marcela. Right. The USMCA specifically addresses the need to consider a gender-based approach to trade, which I think is the first move in the right direction, in the sense that we need to make sure that the gender lens is part of the decisions that we make. And when we think about gender, we're thinking about how we can include more women into the success story of integration in North America. And that goes through the incorporation of more women-owned businesses in North America. And that is already being considered through the provisions or through the work plan that we are developing in the 3 countries with respect to SME participation. We know that have a more direct relationship or more orientation toward the services sector, and we need to pay attention to the services that women develop, and we need to offer them the training, the information, and the tools that they need to be able to flourish their services sector, because services is a very important part of our economy. The second has to do with tailor-made training for women in our economy to be able to participate. And in this respect, we're focusing our attention on training in e-commerce for women. We're already working with the Unit for Productive Development in Mexico to have specific training for women-owned businesses. The only reason why we are doing this is because we know that women have a different way of doing business. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just different. They have different needs, and we want to make sure that women are part of the success story. And also in the labor force, we also know that women have a different way of addressing business decisions, but also in the workplace. We know that right now what we're seeing, for example, in the pandemic, these issues regarding home office offer flexibility, but at the same time that they offer flexibility, they are also very demanding. So they're creating more demand. So this is part of our competitiveness agenda. Mexico, the US, and Canada in USMCA agreed to a competitiveness committee. There's a competitiveness chapter. One of the specific lines in the competitiveness chapter has to do with human resource development and human talent. And this is where we will be working with our counterparts in order to be able to have specific programs or even policies that target those needs that we want to address, because we know that women are an asset, and women, to the extent that we have more women participating correctly in our economy, we will be boosting the growth of our economy. So those are the lines in which we're working to have this gender-based approach to our USMCA integration.
Thank you, Vice Minister de la Mora. We have another question. Since the US and China trade relationship has complicated recently, this provides opportunities for relocation of investments to Mexico, from China to Mexico. What advantages interested investors has in order to invest in Mexico? Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the question, Gerardo. It is, without a question, it is one of the most important events in international trade recently, not only because it has affected in a very dramatic way the trade relationship between the 2 most important actors in international trade, but it has also had spillover effects over the multilateral trading system and over the dynamics of international trade. So what we are seeing is that this tension has created a lot of uncertainty, which is exactly what business does not require and what investors do not want to see. In that respect, what USMCA offers companies that are reconsidering their strategies with respect to the relationship between the US and China is that in Mexico, companies can operate under a more certain, under a framework that offers certainty. This is what USMCA offers to companies. The clarity with respect to what rules they have to abide with, what are the provisions that are part of this USMCA, and what are the lines to follow. We have identified a number of sectors that we know that have the potential to reallocate to North America and specifically to Mexico in the automotive sector, in the aerospace production, electronics, medical devices, products like textiles and apparel, footwear, are all part of this restructuring. And then the only reason why we know that this is taking place is because even though China and the US had a very strong and productive integration, those value chains are already being restructured, either in Southeast Asia or in North America. And what USMCA offers and Mexico offers is this clarity of rules. And we are seeing a lot of companies coming to Mexico, knocking on our doors and seeing how they can develop their investments and businesses in Mexico. And USMCA is an asset, along with many of the other considerations that I mentioned during our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that we have time for a last question. Due to time available, it is difficult to respond all of them. So we appreciate your understanding. The final question is, are there any new opportunities for companies offering digital services from Mexico?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you for that question. I think that it's extremely timely. Opportunities for the digital economy in Mexico are huge. We are only starting to develop that sector. We have platforms, for example, Mercado Libre, which is from Argentina. We have Amazon from the US, and a few others. But really, there is a huge opportunity to develop digital platforms for an incredible number of activities throughout Mexico, but not only to develop and serve the Mexican market, but also to serve the North American market from Mexico. And the reason is that the provisions that are included in the Digital Economy chapter provide the basis for developing platforms, developing businesses based on technology to be able to serve the whole region. So we are talking that from Mexico, you can operate a business for 500 million consumers in North America, but also to develop the very own Mexican business market, not only for final consumers, but also for industry, for agriculture, for services provision. So, I mean, we would require a webinar, a 3-hour webinar, to be able to explain to you all of the great opportunities that are there. So maybe we should think about a future webinar, Marcela, Gerardo, regarding specifically the digital economy and all the opportunities that will bring, that USMCA will bring. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Minister de la Mora, for your presentation, and General Consul Marcela Celorio for organizing this webinar. We hope this event has been productive and useful for all of you, and to take advantage of the benefits of the USMCA and do business with Mexico. We want to thank you all for your participation, and if you have any further question or request, please contact us. We will be happy to assist you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Gerardo. Thank you, Marcela. Thank you, you all. So we hope to see you in Mexico very soon, okay?
Yes. Thank you, Vice Minister. Thank you,
Take
Henry.
care. Thank you. Bye.
Gracias, adiós.